Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today we are going to be using the All and Create Petal Pottery dies here. There are 3 dies in this set and I have used these before in videos. They're absolutely gorgeous. I love that they are a purely outline die, which means the last one I did was like a paper piecing technique where we filled it in. This one we're going to do a masking with watercolors technique with this. So for that, I'm going to use some of the Masking Magic sheets. These are by Gina and this is a very fine design. These dies cut out a very fine, beautiful outline. And so, because I said we're putting watercolors and color and water over top, we really need to make sure that these have a great contact and they're going to be great masking. So unless, you don't want to be frustrated with the results, so a good masking paper is key, and I absolutely do recommend the Gina K one. I'm going to be using my very, very favorite scalloped rectangle die set here, and I have cut out 3 of these because I'm going to be making a trio of cards that can go in a little set, of course. And so these have got a light scallop and then a little indented scored border to them as well. I'm going to peel off the release paper off the back of these gorgeous dies and then pop these down. As I said, these are completely outline dies, so this works really well for this technique because there's still going to be lots of color on the page, and we want that where the mask is to sort of stay bright white. I'm aiming for sort of pastels for this as well. So it's sort of a case of making sure there's enough color down so that we can make sure we see the outline that is left, but I don't want these to be super, super bold. So you can see from the Distress Oxide choices up above there, some of them are along more of the pastel sort of line there. I'm giving these a really good press down. When you put these on the paper, this is watercolor paper. I've used Tim Holtz watercolor paper to die cut out these first panels, and I have done that because, as I said, we're going to be adding water and color and spritz, and so we want them to hold up well to that medium. I am giving these a really thorough push down. As I said, they are really fine lines of these dies, and I love this die, but for this technique to work, I want to make sure that we have excellent contact. Now, pick some kind of non-porous surface. I have the Waffle Flower Stencil Mat. This is the mini. It is well used and well loved, and although not much stains it, I have managed to, I think maybe using some VersaFine inks maybe might have stained it, but just a couple of the colors. The rest of them came off perfectly fine. Nonetheless, it's still very functional and I absolutely love it. I'm adding down some of these colors and a puddle of water and just going over top very loosely. Now, I am making sure that the colors I have got a purple, a pink, and a yellow for this. So the pink and the purple are obviously going to, mush together nicely. The purple and the yellow, not as much. So that's why I'm making sure that the pink sort of bleeds down into it rather than the yellow. I am making sure that I do a bit of splatter, so there's a little bit of color around the outside. I want this to be very loose watercolor sort of style. Now I have some peacock feathers here, which is sort of a darker color than some of the pastels, but I'm just going to water it down and use less. That's one of the brilliant things about these. Same with the green there. It's quite strong, but if we water it down and use a lot of water with that pigment, it's going to really subdue the color and bring it more back to in line with the rest of the colors that I'm using. So if you are not familiar with a color wheel, it's a good thing to Google or even print one out, have it next to you, and you start to know which of the colors, if they're side by side on the color wheel, they're going to mix really well together. If they're opposite, so for example blue and orange or purple and yellow or red and green, then they are not going to be as friendly together. They are usually going to make a brown or a mud or just not a very appealing sort of color. So if you find it tricky to remember, then by all means print one out. There's heaps of them on the internet. Just Google one and find one that you can print out and have it beside you, just so that you can avoid that. I couldn't help but mop up this extra little bit of ink here just because I didn't want to wipe it away. So that background is nothing to do with today's card making. It just seemed like I wanted to use up that extra little bit of ink and keep that to pop to the side. Sometimes I cut those pieces out of my videos, and just because it's, you know, keeping with the flow of the project that we're doing, and I will cut it out. But honestly, most of the time I can mop up with something, and it's always good to have those extra little backgrounds hanging around and that you can add to them, add some more techniques over top. By now, I'm sure that if you have watched a few of the videos on my channel, then you'll know that there's always a way. I always say there's always more than one way, and there's always a way to use up those scraps, use up those pieces, make the most of them, and usually make them stunning. So if you haven't, go back and have a look at some of the other videos on my channel. There is well over 1,000 at this point videos for you to enjoy. And of course, I have natashafootecreative.com, which is my website, and there are heaps more videos on there now that you can also, if you want a little bit more Natasha content, you can come and join us over there for that as well. And then in the month of November, I'm also running a little promotion where if you sign up to be a member of Natasha Foote Creative Pro, which is you can either sign up to be monthly or an annual subscription, which is just slightly cheaper, then you will go in the draw to win a gift voucher to scrapbook.com. So I'm looking forward to that in the month of November. Now, I am going to do a couple of these panels here for the background of these cards. I'm using the same die set. I am absolutely head over heels in love with this, the LDRS rectangles die set. I will say it was an investment, and I'm okay with that because I love it. So I'm just going to use the next size up from what I used for the previous panel. And these are just scrap pieces of paper that I have colored with the same coordinating inks that are in the background. So I did 3 of them, even though I only showed 2 there. I have some iridescent spray from Altenew. I got a whole lot of these sprays to try them out and see which one I loved the best. I really love the airless misters. They probably come out my best, and mainly because they haven't clogged on me. I've had the best luck with them, but the iridescent nature of this gorgeous Altenew one is stunning as well. And of course, we want to use up the products that we have. So I'm going to splatter a little bit of that. If you sort of do like a half spray or a slow push down with your finger, you get those bigger droplets rather than like a fine spray mist, if that makes sense. And so I'm able to do that and get some nice big sort of splatters of that iridescent medium on there. And when you tilt it, you can start to see it as it dries a little bit. Now, I didn't fully dry these, but I did dry them about 3/4 of the way or so, just with a heat gun to speed up the process. Again, that masking magic holds up really, really well to this because it is quite a lot. Now, I'm going to take this stencil from AALL and Create. This is number 39, the LOTZA Dots stencil, and this is, I'm going to use it with some opaque matte texture paste. I have recently discovered AALL and Create as a brand, and I absolutely could go absolutely wild purchasing from their store. I will leave a link to the stencil and the dies down below. They are just gorgeous. They have a fantastic sale section. I will absolutely say that. Their clearance section is huge, and it is a really good percentage, a really good sale. So I purchased these products. I wasn't given them or anything, but I absolutely love them. And I don't know them personally at all, but I am loving their products, and some of the things that they're producing are just absolutely gorgeous. So if you haven't heard of them, go and check them out. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of texture, just a little bit. Now this stencil is cool because it has those gorgeous big massive circles in the center, then sort of medium ones, and then sort of spritzed little teeny tiny dots. So I'm using the ones closer to the edge to sort of go with the size of the image that I am creating here. I'm creating a relatively small panel, and so all of those fine little dots are brilliant. I'm also doing it in roughly the same place because that means it's less for me to clean later on. I'm leaving those white. It is just that little bit of texture, but I don't want it to take away from the image that we have. I'm using the Simple Stories sticker book here. Now, this kind of goes along with the theme of what I've got. This is a gorgeous little book here. There are those typewriter sort of pegs with individual letters. There are lots and sayings. They're all in black and cream, or then white with the background. And then there's also the reverse, where they're black backgrounds and the cream or white letters. So lots of variation in this little sticker book, but I've decided I'm going to use those, so I'll put them aside. I'm going to peel off the masks first. Now, this is always the exciting bit, and you hope that your masking is good quality at this point. So I did think about keeping these masks, and I'm not sure. They are very fine. Usually with anything that has a little that's a little thicker, I can keep these masks really easily. They are stunning, really good quality, and I can reuse them. But these ones, they might be a little bit tricky to pop back on their release paper. But anyhow, absolutely gorgeous, and we do need a good pop of colour though. So that's why I created those gorgeous backgrounds to go with them. I've got 3 little sentiments that I'm going to pop on here, just really plain and simple and easy. These cards sort of ended up being a little bit mixed media-ish. But yeah, 3 little different sentiments, because as I mentioned in the beginning, this is going to be a wee trio of cards, a wee 3 that I will package up together as part of a gift. And if you think that you need to go over any other spots, by all means pop the mask back on and, you know, come in a little bit darker or a little bit more with that colour. There's nothing that says that you can't come back to it afterwards, after you've already done it and pulled off the mask. Pop it back on, give it a good push down and add more colour. I was happy with how all of these turned out. It was really clear and you were able to see the design behind it, so I was happy with that. The filming lights are a little bit hard on the yellow here, I will say, but yeah, it looked absolutely fine in person, so that's the main thing. And then, as I said, I had created the panels that will go behind them. So we're going to put all of these cards together, and at the moment they sort of look a little bit not empty, but you know, they could do with a little more going on, and that is part of what these gorgeous rectangles from the die set add to it. So now I'm going to go ahead and use the largest one there. So I use this one here first, then the next one up, and then I'm going to use the largest one that comes with the set. And I have 3 of those, and this will go onto the card base as well. So this layer I'm going to keep completely white. I'm going to use some foam tape. I'm actually using some 1mm foam tape, but I'm going to double it up so it becomes 2mm. That just saves me having to keep 2 different sizes of foam tape in my drawer. I think on scrapbook.com they have 1mm, 2mm and 3mm, I think. So very, very handy to have all the different sizes. But if you get the 1, then you can double or triple it up and you have everything in just 1 roll. So that's what I've done here. I've got these ready for my backgrounds. As I said, it just needed that pop of colour and I absolutely love it. Then on the back of there, I'm going to put another 1mm layer of foam tape and pop them onto those largest rectangles, and then they will go down onto their card bases. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video today. You can try this with a whole range of techniques. You could do this with letter dies, you could do this with words, you can do this with pictures. I mean, the world's your oyster. You can have lots of different things. You can apply this in so many different ways. You could have animals, shapes. You could do a background with just this and not make it the focal feature. You could just have the background and then add on a little bit, you know, something more solid as a focal point, if that's what you like. Lots of different options. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. As usual, there are links to all of the supplies used in the description box below, as well as my mailing address if you would like to send me something in the real life post. But other than that, I will see you in the next video.